flying high. You know how I feel. Sun in the sky. You know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life. And I'm feeling fish in the sea. You know how I feel. River running free. You know how I feel. Blossom on the tree. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life.
Welcome, race fans, to another exciting Friday night of Truck Series racing. Tonight is for all of the marbles. Things have been heated all season long, and it's time to settle it with the Championship 4 under the lights in Nashville. A season that's been highlighted by 8 different winners on a variety of tracks, but tonight is where everything hangs in the balance. Who are we going to call champ at the end of the night? You're about to find out as we get ready to watch round 15 of the Goat Locker Racing Truck Series presented by Jam Printing and Promotions. You'll see it all live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joey Atterbury, and with me in the booth tonight is Eddie Smith, and we're using cameras provided by Dougie Beard, and I am so pumped to be here, Eddie. We've gone through an incredibly grueling schedule out here tonight. 15 races so far. We're on round number 15, and this is what we've all been racing for. Tonight is the championship night.
Yeah, 8 different winners, but only 4 get the race for the title belt. They give out WWE-style title belts, and that's what these guys are racing for here tonight, and it is going to be a lot of fun. I expect to see some really good racing out of these drivers. 16 cars here in the field, and I would expect it to go long green flag runs, so you're going to have to be ahead of the game, on top of it from qualifying and from the drop of the green flag to be able to have a chance in the championship.
I mentioned this is round number 15, that final championship round. This is everything that we've gone through so far to get here. Not only the playoff rounds, but the regular season as well. Had the super speedways of Daytona, and then also had shorter technical tracks such as Phoenix and Dover, 1.5 miles in there. Had the road course of Watkins Glen, but I think more recently, you know, everybody knows about Pocono and Darlington, as well as Richmond and Michigan, those playoff rounds. But you see here tonight, we're at Nashville Super Speedway under the lights. And speaking of the track, this is actually a little bit of a more technical racetrack. It is, I believe, a 1.33 mile long D-shaped oval outside of Nashville, Tennessee, as we get this awesome Google Earth imagery. And it's not your 1.5 miles, so you have to approach it a little bit more like a short track, but it is much faster than your standard short track, and 14 degrees of banking through the corners, and it is a rough ride around this place. So I have a feeling it might be a little bit more of a single lane racetrack here with the trucks tonight. But what a place to end it all with the championship round. This facility in general, Eddie, has been gaining a lot of popularity between the various series of NASCAR, not only in real life, but here in the virtual world as well. I think this is kind of proven to be a stalwart in oval racing now.
It is a weird track. It doesn't have as much banking as we're normally used to. But I was watching the 1998 Las Vegas race, the inaugural race for Las Vegas, and I'm gonna tell you what, it was a lot like this track. A very flat corners. You run right around the bottom. You're not able to really run at the top. You can kind of run that second lane, but that bottom is going to be where you want to be, right against that apron. And it definitely resembles that old Las Vegas track. But concrete, which allows these trucks to kind of slip and slide all over the place. It's going to be important that you keep your momentum up, as this track is a little bit bigger than you think. I mean, they'll end up going 33 seconds, 32 seconds at the end of these runs, and it's for a 1.33 mile track, it can be kind of daunting. So it's going to be a hard race, not an easy one for sure.
Well, that is the racetrack, and we were talking in the intro about how this is the championship for the final round out here. We've gone through the regular season. We narrowed it down to the top 12 drivers, and then from the top 12, we narrowed it down to the top 8, and then from those 8, there are still only 4 standing. Yes, we have 16 trucks that are going to be racing here tonight, but in terms of that championship, we've got 4 that can go and snag it, and guess what? All 4 of them have been previous winners.
Yeah, and man, it's so good to have these guys. It's going to be fun. Jonathan Cofield with 4 wins on the season. You can see an average finish of 3rd. He is definitely the man to beat. Then you got Patrick Dravick, the head honcho over here, with those 2 wins. Not as good of an average finish, but he is really strong here at Nashville. Ryan Pendleton, sort of a wild card, a dark horse. He is fast everywhere we go. We'll see if he can get it done tonight. And then Jamie Mullins with that exciting last lap, went all the way from the back to the about 6th place to the lead to take the win to get into the Final 4. And man, I can't wait. That was a great race. I'm hoping to see something similar here. Man, it was an awesome race last week, Joe. You really missed out on what was just incredible, and so many moving parts there. And Jamie Mullins was that driver to get the win and lock himself in, and he's going to go racing for a championship here tonight. And I don't know, Joey, what do you think? You want to talk to some folks? Let's talk to some of these drivers and see. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah. Let's see if we can talk to him. But I was just going to kind of expand on your points, because you were mentioning all the drivers and all their different stats. And I think kind of the curious one to me when you were going through them was Ryan Pendleton, because the average finish, you're right, it's a little bit further down than what I expect. But when I look at the back half of the season for this number 23, especially the playoff run, I think that Ryan has really stepped it up in terms of that overall speed. The front half of the season, sure, he was always kind of in the top 10, the top 5, but it seems like the last handful of races, he's always been inside the top 3 type of deal. So I think that the stats don't necessarily back up the speed that this truck has, and it's all got to be tonight, right? I think if I was to circle a favorite, it's definitely that 53 truck. I mean, he's been the one to beat all season, and there's been tracks that others have been fastest. But, yeah, I like the chances that Pendleton's got here tonight.
Well, let's find out what he says about that. Let's bring him up into the booth and talk to Ryan Pendleton here. Ryan, this is Eddie and Joey in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, Eddie. What's going on?
Well, we're just talking about highlighting the Final Four drivers, and here you are at Nashville Super Speedway. And tell me about your chances here tonight. I know you I don't know how you feel about this track, so I'm curious about how you enjoy this style of racing. It's a little bit different than other mile and a halves that we go to. What's your confidence level here tonight that you can get it done?
Well, I guess my percentage either depends on how you look at it. It's either 25% or, 50-50. It's either I'm going to win it or I'm not. No, all I want to do is be able to race for it and have a shot. So I got that. So, confidence is good. It's nice. I got a couple teammates out here. Pat's racing for it too. I know Cofield's obviously going to be fast. Mullins looks fast in practice. I won't say that I love Nashville Super Speedway. I won't say I hate it either. I feel like we run it here a lot at Goat Locker, but not my favorite track, not my least favorite track. But it doesn't really matter tonight. We all got to go out and race the same one and see who comes out in front.
Well, hey, look, I think you've been really consistent all year. You maybe don't have as many wins as some other Final Four drivers, but you don't have to win tonight. You don't even have to you can continue being the most consistent. Finish second, third, fourth, fifth. All that matters, you finish higher than the other three. So good luck tonight, Ryan. Looking forward to seeing if you can get that Cruising Classics Chevrolet in victory lane.
Ooh, F-150, but yeah, I appreciate it, Eddie.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
There's Ryan Pendleton.
Burn.
I think, yeah, he got me there. Well, hey, look, that's what happens when you got a junior announcer up in here. I think Joey, you're caught up with Jonathan Cofield.
Yeah, Jonathan Cofield, I think definitely the favorite going in here to the championship night. How's everything going in practice, and how's the truck feeling for you?
It don't feel too bad. Haven't run here in a while, so I think a lot of these guys got in here early and set some pretty fast laps, so just trying to get a feel for everything, really.
Now, you are the most winning driver here this season, and I kind of circled you as the favorite to watch here tonight, but it's not just you competing for the championship. There are three others. Have you got your eye on any one of them in specific, or are you just kind of watching all of them?
Yeah, I pretty much got to watch all of them. They're all pretty good here. They picked this track for a reason, I think. They're all pretty good here, like I said. So we'll just kind of sit back and log laps, try to not make no mistakes. You got to finish to be able to get in this thing. So.
My last question for you, I know that you loved Richmond and you went out there and just kind of put on a show. This is a totally different racetrack, and you just mentioned that Nashville might be a little bit faster for some of those other drivers. Do you have anything that you're trying to focus on tonight, or just run from the hungry wolves?
Yeah, I'm going to try to save my tires a little bit and see if the pack can get spread out. We're probably going to stay together for a little while. So, like I said, just going to have to be smart, be fast on pit road. The way this series has been lately, probably going to go caution-free. I wouldn't doubt it. So, just going to have to keep all the mistakes at a minimum.
Well, good luck out there, Jonathan.
Thank you, buddy.
That was Jonathan Cofield, driver of the number 53 truck, and I believe we've got a couple more here lined up just before we get into qualifying.
Yeah, got Patrick Dravitt, the 07, in the booth right now. Patrick, it's been an incredible season for you. You've been really fast, and man, I know you real well enough to know that Nashville Super Speedway is a deadgum good track for you. So you got to feel confident. You're sitting fifth on the board right now. Talk to me about how that 07 is feeling tonight. What do you feel like your chances are of getting this thing done? You're gonna have to fight off your teammate to get it, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to fight off three incredible drivers. Cofield's going to be an animal tonight. Mullins, he's been bad fast all season long. And then, yeah, Ryan Pendleton, he's nothing to shake a stick at. But truck's feeling really, really good. This premier setup, as it is every week, is bad fast. Truck feels extremely stable. It's just going to be about hitting your line each and every time, each and every corner.
Well, that 07's been fast all season. Jam Printing and Promotions, you got the title sponsor on your truck, so what a better way to get the championship here tonight. So good luck to you, Pat. We'll see if we're talking to you at Victory Lane.
Outstanding. All right, guys, we're going to put on a show for you.
All right, there you have it, Patrick Drabick, and then we're gonna bring, last but not least, the guy that kind of had to work his way to get into the Final Four, and Joey is caught up with Jamie Mullins.
Well, Jamie Mullins, you've made it here to the championship four. How are you feeling? I know we're about to hit qualifying.
A little nervous, have to admit. There's some really, really fast guys up in there I'm competing against. So, but hopefully I can just take a breath and once the green flag hits, settle down and just get into a groove and let things fall ever how they may.
Well, don't get too nervous out there. You know, take a deep breath, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. It's just another race out there. But just real quick before I let you go, is there any maybe one thing that you're focused on with the big picture here tonight, other than obviously the championship?
Finishing, not burning up my tires. This place is notorious to burn up tires, so just trying to keep it clean and hopefully be there at the end to hopefully make something happen.
Well, good luck out there, Jamie. We'll be watching you all night.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that was all 4 of our championship drivers that are going to be duking it out here under the lights at Nashville. And qualifying is just now getting underway. We're going to watch a lot of these trucks go out there and set down their fastest time, because that is what sets the grid. The number 36 truck of George Jewell currently on their outlap, and being a 1.3 mile track, there is no kind of banker lap, if you will, or warm-up lap. You get straight to it coming out of pit lane, so much so that I've even been watching some of the other trucks, Eddie, that they are purposely even sliding the tires, trying to get a little bit of temperature in the thing.
Yeah, concrete seems like it always takes a little bit. You're sliding all over the place. You want to get the grip up as quickly as possible. This is honestly one of the most stressful places to qualify, because it's a razor's edge you're trying to hit. And one little mistake, bouncing off the apron, not getting on the throttle soon enough, and your lap just goes all downhill. So right now, George Jewell jumps up to second, but Jacob Ellingson takes the top spot. But yeah, it's really tough to qualify here. I don't enjoy it at all. It's not fun.
Watch the number 36 truck continue to make its way around, and right now provisionally on pole is the number 27 of Jake Ellingson. Now, we've been talking about the championship 4, whether it's Drabick or Cofield or Pendleton or Mullins, but we haven't mentioned some of these other wicked fast drivers that can actually win here tonight, and that includes the number 27 of Jake Ellingson. And so I think that there's going to be quite a few drivers as we're watching the 92 of Timothy Stubblefield come around and put down one of his laps here in qualifying.
I want to see Timothy Stubblefield win this race tonight. The championship is going to work itself out, but I want to see Stubb Nation. They have been so good in chat. They've been such a huge supporter of him all season long. He had to miss a couple races. He was in the round of 8. Really a fantastic drive for him this season. I would love to see him kind of win one here at the end of this thing. Is Jamie Mullins, one of your final 4, goes straight up to the top of the board.
You know, that's why we were keeping him in the broadcast booth, Eddie, is because we wanted everybody to go out there and set down a lap time just to show how fast Jamie Mullins really is in that number 66. So
he
yeah,
laid down a heater too. He's the only driver so
Yeah.
far in the 2s, and it was a mid 2, so hey, he was screaming around this track.
Absolutely, a 29.27. The next up is Jake Ellingson, not even a playoff driver, at a 29.31. Then comes Patrick Drabick at a 29.37. So to your point, a full 10th ahead of the next playoff driver.
Jeremy Gardner here, oh man, just so disappointing. He was in position all race long at Pocono to get that win and lock himself in. He had to win. He was not able to point himself in, and then gets a left rear hooked by by Patrick Drabick on the straightaway and lost his shot at the Final Four. So it's a tough deal, but I'm really happy that folks like Jeremy are showing up tonight and gonna make it a good show. Hopefully won't see any payback. I think they're pretty good friends, so I don't think we'll see that. But glad to see him here tonight. He is going to try to lay down a heater, and then we'll jump into the national anthem as he comes through turns 3 and 4, right down to the bottom. trying to hug that yellow line. Comes off the corner. We'll see where Jeremy Garner is going to start this race.
Do kind of lap time he puts down all the way, cutting it across the apron there, and the number 42 puts down a 29.34, so jumping from 14th up to 3rd, and time to listen to our national anthem performed by Navy vet Jared Ashley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We have got our official starting grid here on row number 1. Your pole sitter, the number 66 of Jamie Mullins. Next to him is going to be Jake Ellingson in that number 27. Jeremy Gardner with that final lap puts that number 42 on row number 2, starting 3rd. Patrick Drabick in 4th. James Kaufman with the top 5 qualifying starts 5th. Cofield here in 6th. Ryan Pendleton 7th. George Jewell in 8th. Timothy Stubblefield with Stub Nation in 9th. And James Goshen rounding out your top 10.
In 11th, Brandon Wallace. Matt Knight's in the 12th position. Mike Browning in 13th. Alan Marshall next to him with Steve McDonald. Chuck Phelps going to round out your field here tonight.
16 trucks is what is going to be taking the green flag for what is 115 laps around Nashville Super Speedway. And I tell you what, folks, we are going to get right to the racing action because we've got the pace car coming off of the racetrack and hitting pit road. The field is in the hands of the number 66. He looks towards Barney in that flag stand, hits the start zone, and decides to stand on the gas at the very, very end. We are racing here at Nashville Super Speedway for the championship round of the Goat Locker Racing Truck Series, and it's side by side between the 27 and the 66. And actually, check this out, the speed on the high side. Jake Ellingson going for the lead on the back straightaway.
Yeah, Jeremy Garner gave the 66 a big push, but Patrick Drabick did a much better push, and that outside line was just really strong. I just wonder if Jamie Mullins was being a little bit more conservative into 1, but so far he's been able to try to make up that ground. The bottom looks to be pretty fast right now as he's going to kind of nose ahead into 1 and 2, but 27 fighting hard on the outside.
I think that the 66 of Mullins was trying to kind of stamp the authority of I'm a championship 4 driver going into turn 3 that last time, and there he gives a little bit more room, but once again slides upwards towards the 27. But it looks like Ellingson is going to capitalize on that high line, secure the lead, and clear Mullins. And I'm sorry, looks like we got some problems further back. That's the number 68 of Stephen McDonald turned around on the front straightaway.
McDonald and Alan Marshall make contact, but we stay green. They get it back rolling, but they are going through the grass. No caution as they're able to keep it going. But yeah, made a little bit of contact. Alan Marshall, Steve McDonald, and able to avoid a caution early. Jamie was really fighting hard with Jacob Ellingson and wanted to keep that track position because it's so hard to pass here. The momentum, especially as the tires start to wear, the momentum really is hard to keep going. Once you catch a driver, you have to take, it seems like it takes 3 to 5 laps if you're faster to even make that move. So Jamie really wanted to hold on to that track position. Now he's going to fall back to 3rd. Going to have to get back on the horse, get back up there.
I think when we were talking to the Championship 4 before qualifying, there was one thing that really stood out in my mind. There was 2 of the drivers that said, we're going to have to save tires. You know, it's going to be a little bit more of a conservative race, and that was Cofield as well as Mullins. And I think that maybe their strategy of being a little bit more conservative and saving tires is just down to the speed that Patrick Drabick has, because he is starting to run away as well as the number 27. And I know that these 2 drivers work a ton together. I wonder if this is maybe just a little bit of a test to say, hey, let's try to burn our stuff up a little bit, but we get the benefit of clean air, right? We don't have to be arguing with anybody amongst those positions. So I think that this might be an okay strategy as long as they can kind of keep in front, keep track of that clean air and not allow anybody to catch them. As you see a move by the 53, that's Jonathan Cofield. He's going to look to the inside of Jeremy Gardner here. So in turns 3 and 4, one of our championship contenders on the way forward.
Garner kisses the wall just a little bit off of 4. I don't like the strategy of saving too much here. I can see Cofield, him and Mullins are going to start to pick up the pace a little bit. You cannot let Patrick Drabick get too far out ahead and pull away, because him and Jacob are not going to fight very hard. You know, I just don't know if saving tires is going to manifest itself. We're probably not going to have too many cautions, I would imagine, with the field as small as it is. So I just don't know how many opportunities there are to make the tires work on the long run. I think you need to be in that track position, because as the tires wear out here, I'm talking about it is incredibly difficult to get down into the corner. The truck's going to get really tight. You're not going to be able to get back on the throttle as early as you can right now. So it's important that you have the track position. And I think if you're going to lose 4 or 5 spots to try to save some tire, that's not going to be the answer. So I would imagine Cofield, you kind of see he is kind of abandoning that save strategy as he's all over the back bumper of Jamie Mullins. Going to make a move down to the insides here. We'll see how hard Jamie's going to fight. He doesn't. So he's sticking to his guns. Jamie is. He's going to save and just try to let that 53 go.
And to talk about the lap times here, the leader of Ellingson as well as Drabick, they both did a 29.9 in the 66 of Mullins, who kind of claimed he might be saving a little bit of tire early on. He's back there doing 30.3s, 30.4s, and he's actually going to lose 2 more spots. Ryan Pendleton as well as Jeremy Gardner is going to go ahead and slip by Jamie Mullins. So I agree with you, Eddie, that if you want to win, you got to get up there and fight amongst the guys that are battling for the lead. However, if you're the 66 driver right now, this isn't a death sentence, right? We're only 10 laps into a 115-lap race. If you're struggling with the car now, it's better to kind of separate yourself from the helmet and understand what you did. Was it because you went up there and battled side by side for a few laps and you burned your stuff off? Or do you need to figure out how other trucks are maybe rolling the bottom a little bit better? So yes, the car is sliding, or I should say the truck is sliding back in terms of positions, but it is not over from the number 66 point of view, and you were the one that was pointing it out last week's finish, Eddie. I mean, how far from back did he come to make his way into the championship 4?
I was just going to make that point because I kind of contradicted myself. I don't like the strategy, but also after last week, I can't count him out. I mean, it was unbelievable the last lap that he had. I mean, he went 3, almost 4 wide as drivers were getting into each other, taking advantage of the situation. And that late race caution allowed him to get up there and take that win away and got himself into the Final 4. So I definitely can't count him out at all. I know how Nashville goes. He's relying on a lot of things to go his way for this kind of strategy to work out, as he is losing still a ton of time is right up front, man. It's impressive. these guys obviously working together. Patrick, they're going to be similar in speed, but I think Patrick's just going to ride behind his teammate. Long as Jacob is not putting up too much of a fight, you know, not holding him up, which he's obviously not, why not just ride in your teammate's tire tracks? And, you know, he's going to win the championship if it ends up like this right here. So, I love this strategy. Teamwork is always just really awesome here at Goat Locker.
I think that there's a couple benefits, but you could also kind of play devil's advocate to the 0-7 here. It's nice to let somebody set the pace for you, kind of just go out there and chase the carrot. And not only that, but you got the draft to help pull you along. I think just where they have to draw the line is the dirty air, right? This is not a slow racetrack. We're doing about 175 miles an hour going into turn number 1. So having clean air on the front of these race trucks is important. So it's just up to these two teammates to kind of manage that situation, right? If Drabic needs to get out front for that championship, he needs to get on the radio and tell the driver of the 27, be like, hey, how about I lead a few laps and you play blocker? And that's exactly what a teammate is for.
Yeah, this takes me back to those old NFL style offenses where you had a fullback, you had you know, a running back in the backfield, and right now Jacob Ellingson is going to play that fullback role. And you know, if Patrick feels like he's faster, the good news is out of everybody on in the field, Jacob's going to fight the 07 the least if it's going to hurt him. So he's going to let him go if that does kind of play out. And then he can just play fullback, play defense against anybody that comes up there, fight those guys as hard as possibly can. And they got to do this because of their qualifying. They had a great qualifying effort. They've obviously been practicing, putting in the work, and it showed. And being out front, that's the best place to win, Joey. I don't know if you know that.
I think that's how a race usually works, is you gotta get to the finish line before the other competitors. I could be wrong, but that's what I've got circled in my notes over here. And right now it's Jake Ellingson. He's actually got the biggest lead he's had all night over the 07 of Patrick Drabic. And I was just watching a little bit further back. It seems like the 66 of Jamie Mullins kind of has his sea legs underneath him again, because he's made his way around that number 42. And I was getting a little worried because the 25 of James Kaufman, that third truck in line there, was getting awfully close to the back bumper of Mullins, and I think it was just time for Jamie to shift up another gear, get in that clean air, which is exactly what he did. Got around the 42 truck, and now it really is 4 of the championship contenders inside of the top 5.
You could definitely tell that Jamie is sort of kind of backing this whole group up. That's why they're so kind of piled in right behind him. He was doing exactly what he said he was going to do, save those tires and try to come out the other end faster. Cofield has done a pretty good job. He is consistently faster every single lap. He was about a tenth faster last lap, and about half a tenth this time. As Patrick Drabic has gone down to the inside, so there's that change for the lead as Cofield and Pendleton start to push up. And of course, Ryan Pendleton's right behind Jonathan Cofield, so he is a Goat Locker teammate as well, so he can kind of feed that information of saying, yeah, Cofield's coming. And I think that message was relayed because Patrick Drabic goes around Jacob Ellingson without any fight at all, and now gives him that clean air you were talking about, and that is huge at the moment as the tires start to really fade.
I think that the pendulum has kind of swung in the direction of if you burned your stuff up for the first, call it 20 laps, it has plateaued, and now the people that have saved the tires, it is starting to benefit them. So the lead was up to about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and now Jonathan Cofield has just kind of been chipping away at it the last few laps, and our leader this time by a 30.6, Jonathan Cofield in third, a 30.5, Jamie Mullins, a 30.5. So, yeah, the two drivers that we were talking about that we were saying they got to get a move on, well, they stayed patient. They let the tires kind of do their thing, and now they've actually become the fastest cars on the racetrack. And Jamie Mullins has actually hunted down Ryan Pendleton, so he's gone from a 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds back to now officially in the slipstream of the 23, so he'll start to get pulled along up the straightaway as well, and all of a sudden what was an 0.8 of a second gap is going to be pretty much on top of each other. And Patrick Drabick is starting to pull it out away from Jake Ellingson a little bit, so I think that just kind of goes to our point, Eddie, that the teammates were working together, and when the 27 started to fall off, the 07 had saved enough of his stuff to kind of continue driving on by.
Cofield is moving right now. He is super, super fast, and I'm not surprised at all. Cofield, 4 wins on the season, and kind of separated himself. We had a string of 5 or 6 races where we had, I think, 5 different winners at one point where nobody was a clear favorite. But towards the end of the season, I'm telling you, Jonathan Cofield, he races quite a lot, and he's already very, very good. And if you give him a lot of practice, a lot of seat time, and he runs maybe 4 or 5 times a week, just about like everybody else. But you get him where he's sharp like he is tonight, and I'm telling you, it is so hard to beat Cofield. He is frustratingly good. I broadcast a series on Thursday nights where he has won probably 80% of the races so far, and he is really unbelievable when he gets locked in. And I think he's always a little coy in the interviews where he comes in and just kind of dismisses all your questions, like, oh, I don't know, it's just kind of, got that southern drawl from Alabama talking about, oh, I don't know, it just got to, but he is lightning fast, and he will sneak up on you. I think he's got the confidence. He just doesn't want to be too cocky. But man, he is cutting in the gap right now, still about a 10th faster every single lap, and starting to gap Ryan Pendleton a little bit. Ryan trying to hold on to it, but Cofield's coming.
Have some amazing partners that are involved with Goat Locker. That includes Jam Printing and Promotions. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning, local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. Still that Jam Printing and Promotions livery 07 car out front right now, leading the way. 30.8 was that last lap time, and you compare that to Cofield back there in 3rd place, 30.7. So the tire strategy of saving the tires, it doesn't look like they necessarily fall off of a cliff, right? But it's just that slow degradation in performance, and maybe that's even worse, is the slow, painful death of watching somebody catch you a 10th at a time, knowing that eventually they will get there.
I wonder how much Jonathan Cofield's kind of working that brake bias a little bit. Right now, we can kind of watch this onboard, and you can see how tight these guys are going to get right here. It takes a lot of wheel to get down to the bottom where you want to be, right against that yellow line, and you work that throttle. You really, I mean, I guess you don't work it. You basically full throttle it all the way out the best you can without over-rotating the truck. But it's so difficult right here. He's having to put a lot more wheel, but he can offset that with a little bit of brake bias. You can actually adjust that in the car about 3% either way. Drop that brake bias a little bit. Some might say push it back and get a little bit more rotation. Pull that, when you hit the brake, the weight shifts, moves the back end around, gives it sort of a loose end feel, helps rotate the car. You don't have to put as much wheel into it. That seems like what he's got going on right now. Really doing a great job of getting that truck pointed on entry, getting down to the bottom, getting back on the throttle as soon as he can. Try to save that right front, because that is going to be the most important tire on the truck here tonight, and he has done a pretty good job. So is these others. Ryan Pendleton is still right behind him, about half a second. Jamie Mullins is definitely in their draft, so they have made up that time. And you look at their best laps, Patrick Drabick and Jacob Ellingson, 29.5s, and then you go back to Cofield, his best lap is a 29.8. So you can definitely see they took off a little bit early, maybe starting to fade a little bit, and kind of getting a little bit of tire degradation they weren't expecting.
You're right, though, because when these two trucks took off at the start of the race, I mean, they just were like lightning in a bottle, and they just ran away from it, and they were nearly 2 seconds out front. There was that big gap to third place, and then there was another big gap back there to the 66 of Mullins, but now everything has compressed up, so we've got our top 6 trucks all separated with less than 1 second of gap between each of them. It's starting to shape up to be pretty nice, and those last lap times, Jonathan Cofield still about a 1/10 of a second faster than Patrick Drabick, and I've got the number 66 circled because actually the last 3 lap times, Eddie, Jamie Mullins has actually been the fastest truck out of these top 6.
Well, he heard us talking before the race, and I'm sure that he's got a big old grin as he does listen to the broadcast while he's racing. I was kind of down at him for backing off too early because he is definitely coming alive. But at some point, they got to come down pit road. Does he have enough time to make that time that he has saved up before they hit pit road? That's going to be a huge thing. He's about 2 seconds back right now, so gonna have to hunt it down the last little bit here before this green flag pit stop.
Yeah, and he's got the 42 kind of right on his tail as well. So lots of things still to develop. And you mentioned kind of a hot button keyword there, pit stop, right? These trucks can go quite a bit further in terms of the fuel. In terms of the fall off, though, how much further do you want to go? Their fastest lap times, I'm looking about a 29.5, and they're currently turning a 30.9. So call it about 1.5 seconds worth of fall off. How much further do you go on a set of tires before it becomes too much and you want to be that truck that comes into pit road, gets the fresh set of tires on it, especially during a green flag stop, because you know how much track position that's worth. That can leapfrog you in front a huge amount.
And there might be different varying strategies. I've seen at this track, a couple folks might try to do a one-stopper if we can make it to that amount, that lap time, so about 50, 58. If you can make that on fuel, you can one-stop it. But I have seen folks try to two-stop this track because the fall-off there is a good amount of fall-off. So I don't know if we'll see that, but I don't know if that's a race-winning strategy, but it might be worth a try. You see Cofield now getting to the back bumper of the 27. That's Mike Allstott there in the 27 cars. He's going to be doing some blocking, but here comes Cofield down to the inside. We'll see how. But you can see Jacob Ellingson on the door of the 53 as he gets a nice run through the corner, but you see that outside a little bit too strong. So Cofield's going to have to work over this 27. He's not going to get it easy.
He's got that horse collar in the shoulder pads, that big old neck pad back there that the old fullbacks used to use. And you keep mentioning this as the 53 tries to get the drive off of the corner, but this is kind of a little bit of deja vu from what we saw in the opening laps of the race when we got two trucks that were battling very similar speed. It seemed like Ellingson was able to hang tough on the top line, and we see that oftentimes in 1.5 mile tracks, right? That the car down low, it just gets pinched down on exit. And here the 53 really tries to widen up the entry, try to force the 27 kind of maybe outside of the groove going into the corner. And I think a few more times of that, and he might be able to get clear, but I think the damage is already done. Look at what the 27 has done. Already 3/4 of a second between second and our leader.
Just about clears him there. My favorite thing about that battle is that Jacob Ellingson can drive as hard as he wants because he's going to dive down to the inside. Oh, it's close as the 53 comes across his nose. My favorite thing is that Jacob Ellingson drive as hard as he wants because he's playing defense, and Cofield could not push as much as he probably could have because he had to continue to save those tires. So that's a fun little battle where Cofield's got everything to lose and Jacob doesn't have anything to lose, and he can really lean on that 53 and make him try to force him into a mistake, keep him off his teammate.
The beauty of racecraft, and I couldn't have explained it better myself. That's exactly what the 27 was doing. Mission accomplished, because when he let that 53 by, it was about 0.7 of a second, and it has held station there. So theoretically, let's just say if Cofield had, let's say, 10% better life on his tires. Now, this is just a random number that I picked. If the 27 was able to battle with them and help burn off that little bit of tire advantage, that's a big win in terms of Drabick and Ellingson. So I think as long as they were able to keep battling just those couple of laps, that's exactly what he was trying to do. And it just makes that climb for the 53 a little bit more tough now to go and chase down Drabick. And we were hearing from Patrick that this is one of his better racetracks. It really is kind of all in his hands.
Cofield is pretty smart. He may not I get this problem too where my accent takes away a few IQ points the first time somebody hears me. But Cofield is really, really smart. He's not going to take the bait from the 27 to try to get him to burn his tires up, and it shows because Cofield's still been able to put a tenth or so on Drabick here. So I don't think he really put too much pressure on those tires. But at this point, everything's starting to even out just a little bit as we're 43 laps into this stint. Pit stops are going to be kind of rearing its ugly head here. I think at this point, Cofield doesn't need to really worry about trying to pass Patrick. He just needs to get up to him. It's going to take quite a few laps to make that pass, I can promise you. So he needs to be thinking about when I'm coming down pit road, am I going to try the undercut? Am I going to try the overcut? What's going to happen? And I think it's going to be a massive importance to get down on and off pit road. If we'll take a look real quick, watch what you'll have to do to get on pit road. Drives down into the corner. You can't take it easy. And look, you got to cut a left right there. I mean, the truck is already pushing out towards the outside wall. And in this moment where first place Patrick Drabick and fifth place Jamie Mullins is 1.7 seconds between all the championship drivers, any amount of time you can make up on pit road entry and exit will be a massive win. So,
I tell you what, Patrick Drabick just had to catch his breath coming out of turn number 2. I don't know if you saw that, Eddie, but the 82 of Alan Marshall was all sorts of out of shape. I don't know if he got into the wall or what, but thankfully did not affect our lead. But I think that the pressure has officially arrived in the form of Jonathan Cofield. That last lap, 0.2 of a second faster than Patrick Drabick. So it's there. The 53 has arrived. And when we're talking about that strategy, since we were mentioning pit stops, lap 58, right? That is halfway. If you can make it to lap 58, you can make it on fuel. And here comes the 53. A big old block, a big old posture from Drabick down the front straightaway to block that low lane. But I think it's just a matter of time until the nose gets to either the inside or maybe even the outside coming off a 2. So close to contact.
Yeah, they are really pushing the limits of that net code. That is some dangerous racing, but I love it. And here it is. I mean, you see Patrick Drabick is not going to let him have this position. He is going to have to work hard for it. The 53 actually pushed up in 3 and 4. That tells me, oh, they make a little contact. That tells me he's a little bit tight now, especially entering in on the bottom like this.
I think the narrower that bottom line has to enter the corner, especially in turn 1 there, it just gets so pinched off on exit. You see him really try to widen the arc, especially here. Oh, look at that. The 53 really choosing kind of the middle of the racetrack and then arcing it down. He's just trying to take away that advantage from the top lane. We've seen so much of that momentum be able to be carried around that middle groove there. So the 53 not trying to necessarily complete the pass in one turn, just trying to take inches out each time, and that's also saving the tires.
This is the perfect time for Patrick to fight this hard as pit stops are coming up the next 10 laps or so. So saving any more tires at this point would just be a waste as they almost make contact in the middle of 3 and 4. That was really close, as I thought the 53 was going to make contact. If they were any closer, I don't know, they would probably be cousins or something. Man, they make a little door bang at the start-finish line, and that's bringing everybody else into the fray. 1.2 seconds separates Jamie Mullins and Patrick Drabick. And look, here comes Ryan Pendleton. Going to join the battle here as they are racing hard here at lap 50.
That's right. We got 3 of the 4 championship contenders right here, and almost again contact. You mentioned it last lap. I think that Cofield is just maybe struggling with a little bit of understeer over there on the turns 3 and 4 side of the racetrack. So Ryan Pendleton is actually going to go to the inside here and take away second place from the 53 as he's going to try to do an over-under now coming out of turn number 2, try to get that run going down the back straightaway. But I think once again, he's just where he doesn't want to be. on the bottom side of the racetrack entering 3 and 4. He charges it in way, way deep this time. Kind of pulls a little bit of a slider to get in front of the 23, and now the positions have flip-flopped around, and Cofield has kind of proven me wrong. He's kind of defending the inside down the D-shape front straightaway, so I thought he might have defended more the outside lane, but I'm going to suggest something here, Eddie, because we're so close to halfway. I really feel like if you're the 66 of Jamie Mullins sitting back here in 5th place right now, come down 2 laps early. Come down 2 laps before halfway. If you can make it an extra 2 laps right now, the track position that you're going to gain from having a fresh set of tires, it is going to put you seconds in front of this group.
Yeah, their best laps are high 29s. They're running 31 flats at the moment. That is a big amount of time that you could gain coming down pit road. It's just going to be who pulls the trigger first. I think anybody out of this group comes down pit road, I think that's going to open the floodgates almost immediately, as nobody's going to lose all that time. But whoever does it first is going to gain a bunch and have some good track position. You know, kind of talking about Cofield here just real quick, is he is in a frustrating position. He has got the opportunity to pass for the lead. Unfortunately, if he cannot make the pass, if he can't get it completed, we've already seen it happen already. Ryan Pendleton, Jacob Ellingson going to be all over his back bumper. If he was just them two together, hey, he would have time to work him over. But every time he decides to go side by side, it draws everybody in, and he has to fight those guys off. So it is a tough position right now, 50-53. He just needs to be thinking about this pit stop, getting on and off pit road, and do it cleanly. No speeding penalties, and try to get the lead that way.
They are on lap number 55. If you can make it to the end on fuel from here, bring it down pit road right now, because I'm looking at the lap times. I mean, they've plateaued. They haven't continued to fall off. They've been at 30.9s, 31.0s, low 31s. It's not like they're continuing to fall down to the 32-second range. So that tells me the last 5 laps of the run, the last 10 laps of the run, they're all the same, right? It's not going to fall off a cliff. All of the speed is made in the beginning half of the run. You're lap 56, so if we're going to get an early taker down pit road, this would be the 1 lap early. Otherwise, you click over to 57, and that's pretty much exactly halfway in the race, and the top 6 all stay out.
The debate always is, do you short pit or do you run long? And I have flip-flopped on this deal. I like what you're saying. I totally agree. But I've been beat so many times coming down pit road early and then somebody staying out another 5 to 10 laps. I think you want to cut it as close as you possibly can to that fuel limit and then come down pit road, because that overcut is really strong in oval racing, with it being so hard to pass. If you have a 5-lap advantage, here comes Patrick Drabick coming down pit road.
And it actually checked up the 53 of Cofield coming out of turn number 4. He had to get off the gas to avoid this truck coming down pit lane. So it is so important for Patrick Drabick to stop in his pit stall. I write it down in my notes every single race. Don't beat yourself, right? Don't slide through your pit box. You've done everything right so far. Keep doing it right on pit road.
You've been doing something completely different the whole time. You've run 58 laps out on this track. Here comes the rest of them coming down pit road, and the Ryan Pendleton got really hot. But yeah, you've been doing the same thing over and over again. Then you have to completely readjust, get on the brakes. You maybe turn that brake bias down a little bit. You have to get down to pit road speed. You have to maintain. Then you have to go into the box and not slide through. There's so many variables on pit road to gain and lose time. So we're going to see who is the best right now as they come off the pit road. Drabick came in first. We'll see if he's able to get on and off pit road as good as everybody else.
Looks like everybody comes to a stop nice and clean in the box, and I expect everybody to take 4 fresh tires. And now the 66 of Mullins, who stayed out 2 extra laps in comparison to Drabick, finally hits pit road himself. So I think that's pretty much going to complete the cycle, because the 42 of Jeremy Gardner also followed him into pit road, as we watch Pendleton as well as Cofield put the hammer down. And there's exactly what I was talking about. The track position just from the new tires, I mean, it's going to be huge. Patrick Drabick, I'm looking already a second in front of Ryan Pendleton, 1.2 seconds and growing, because he's already up to speed.
he did get quite a bit of gap. And I'll tell you right now, Cofield did not have a good on and off pit road, as something has happened to the 53. I don't know what, but he is pretty far back from these guys. So I don't know what happened to the 53, but he has lost quite a bit of time. He was 41.9 seconds on pit lane and 14.3.
Oh, you know what it was? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Jonathan Cofield had a spin on the apron leaving pit lane, Eddie. He spun it quarter,
goodness.
and I tell you what, Jake Ellingson in the 27 had a front row seat of it, and he barely squeaked by on the inside. So here's the replay. Just standing on the gas, the rear end comes out.
And that's that mistake. That's those little bitty things that you have to do right. And man, for Cofield, he's got to be kicking himself right now, as that could be his championship, because cautions are going to be few and far between. And now he's back in the 9th position. He's going to be about 10.5 seconds back from the lead. He's going to need a caution at this point. He is in trouble.
That's exactly what he needs. It is definitely a caution to kind of jump himself back into it. And not only that, he's going to need the best setup on the truck underneath them. And speaking of setups, I want to give a huge shout out to Premier Racing Setups, because they're the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Established in 2016, they offer many different options to help take your sim career to the highest levels. With over 50,000 customers worldwide, they've got the tools that you need to compete with the best. And a special thank you to them for donating the setups that we're racing on right here for the Truck Series. So that's why these drivers can really push it to the limits without having to worry about any of those sketchy moments underneath them, as we watch the 07 of Drabic go by the number 99 of Brandon Wallace. Now, Brandon is in 2nd place. He was an early taker down pit road, so he doesn't have to pit for quite some time, and he's good in terms of that fuel life. It's just the pace is a little bit slower than these guys on the fresh tires.
We talked about the different strategies, and Brandon Wallace is doing the two-stop strategy. Everybody else electing for one stop, running those tires long. He came down about 28 laps ago and going to cut the race into thirds and try to make up the difference. I don't know if he's going to win. It's going to be difficult to drive up through and unlap yourself, but it's an interesting strategy, maybe worth a few spots on the track. We'll see how that plays out. I like that Brandon is always one that's going to do something different. And he's definitely doing that right now. Gained some track position. He's going to have to come down pit road in about 20 laps or so, but he'll be able to hammer down those last 30.
Have to keep an eye on it. And his lap times have plateaued it as well, just kind of doing those low 31s. So it just goes to that data point that I think that all of the speed is really made in the first half of the run. You can crawl back, you can inch back the track position in the back half of the run, but really where the big chunks are gained is definitely when the tires are fresh, when the tires still have speed. Because let's just look at Drabic's lap time. He's going to be in the 30s. He was a 30.3 that last time by, a 30.1, so even faster this lap out on the racetrack. And just take advantage of it while you still got it, right?
I think so. If he didn't have Ryan Pendleton right behind him, I'd say he could back it up and really save, because he's got about 4 seconds back to Jamie Mullins, and really put the pressure on those guys to push. And you can kind of, when you have the lead like this, you can really put guys in a box. So if you lift a little bit, you kind of, their relative starts ticking down, and they go, oh my gosh, I'm catching him. And they get excited. They start pushing that truck a little bit harder, and then they get caught up, and then you just hammer on down with those tires that you saved. But he's not able to do that here, as Ryan Pendleton had a great in pit lane and in his box, and was able to get a really good exit, and now it's half a second back. I think now it's a two-way battle. While it's friendly, this is not a Patrick Drabic Ellingson situation. These are two battling for a championship, and both of them want to win it. So I'm interested to see how this is going to play out, as these are really the two players at the moment.
Now, I'm not going to call myself Miss Cleo over here, because I don't read the cards and predict. I just read the notes over here. But remember, we were talking even before qualifying just about the driver of the 23 of Ryan Pendleton, how he's kind of sneaky fast, right? I don't think that the stats really back up his performance in the back half of this season. And here he is in the back half of the championship race, hunting down the lead less than a half a second out, getting it all when he needs to. I think that this has been exactly what Ryan has done, especially the last handful of races, is that he's performed when it is most crucial. And when is it more crucial than right now in hunting down that potential to win the championship?
Depending on how hard he drives here, he's always going to have that one lap extra. And you think, well, that doesn't mean anything. Well, in iRacing, the tires do go through plateaus. There will be a point where Patrick Dravik's tires will drop off. If they run very similar, it'll drop off about a tenth or so, and Ryan's won't for a lap. So that is still a thing that that one lap can make a difference, especially later on in the run. So I'm interested to see if he's able to save enough or if he pushes too hard to get that done. I do want to say one thing here, a little bit off topic, but Doug Ellingson, if he's watching, I know he's had some health issues, been in the hospital. Him, Mama Ellingson means so much to Goat Locker, and just want to shout them out. And Doug, we're hoping if you're watching that you get better soon. We want to see you back out on track, and hopefully you can come home, be with your family, and I know we're all rooting for you. So Doug Ellingson, sending thoughts and prayers your way. Can't wait for you to come home, buddy.
Always one of my favorites to watch out there is Doug Ellingson. You know, I know that he participates in so many of those Goat Locker racing series between the various different leagues. So yeah, I agree with you. Big shout out there to Doug Ellingson, and hope Ball is getting better and chugging along out there as we got 43 laps to go here. Patrick Drabick still leading the way, and we had Ryan Pendleton on the screen for quite a while there, and something that I noticed, Eddie, was that he kept looking upwards, right? He's got a fourth monitor up above him, and I assume that's where they've got all the data overlays, whether that's the time to the gap behind or whether that's the time to the gap in front. Whatever it is, he is looking upwards every single straightaway, and that tells me that the driver is focused on one goal in mind. However, that can also be just a little bit distracting. If I play devil's advocate, if I'm the crew chief, I want to turn everything off for my driver. Just go out there and do what you can do the best, and that's turn laps.
I think he's got the broadcast up there on that top screen, because I think when he was up on screen, he wanted to look at himself. I know Ryan is a very vain guy, and anytime he see himself on screen, I think he's up there looking, just make sure his beard and stuff's trimmed just right. So hat straight, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's what he's doing. He's looking at himself going, yeah, I look good. I feel fast. I'm racing good. I got Patrick Drabick in my sights, and I want to go out here and get this championship. And he is really pushing to try to get to the back bumper. Ryan actually got a little tight there off of 3 and 4, wasn't able to get the gas down, so he loses a little bit of time. But he has slowly been creeping up, using that draft to catch up to that 07. I can't wait to see how these teammates battle. You know, teammates are all good until you're both fighting for the same thing, Joey. You know, Ellingson playing a little defense earlier, but now it's mano a mano. And, you know, you always – I don't know about you, but I always kind of race my teammates a little bit harder because you want to be the best guy on your team. I don't know about you, though.
I think it all depends. I think it's a tricky situation because usually the entire season you race your teammate one way, right? And you expect them to race that way back to you. Well, here's a situation that is completely flip-flopped where you actually have to race it out. So it's a little bit of an unknown. Now you get to have fun in practice and, you know, kind of joke around with your buddies all the time, racing and crashing and seeing who can throw slide jobs and whatnot. But it's just a little bit of a precarious situation as we do watch Pendleton get all over the back of Drabick. So maybe that one lap of difference in terms of the tires is starting to pay dividends for this number 23 here. And I also just want to give a big time shout out to the Veterans for Life Foundation. The goal for Veterans for Life Foundation is to both revitalize communities and supporting military veterans and their families' successful transition back into civilian life. Through support services, counseling, and education, they provide permanent, affordable housing to veterans and their families.
Well, Joey, I
Thing-
wanted to highlight something. I'm going to cut you off, and I'm not
Yeah,
even going to say
yeah.
sorry because I wanted to highlight this for a while, and I don't want to miss this lead battle. But talking about teammates, Jamie Mullins, Jeremy Garner are teammates here, the Veterans for Life team. And Jeremy Garner, since the drop of the green flag, has been pushing this 66, trying to push him up to the front. He has not moved from the back bumper of that 66. And every time they go down the straightaway, he is trying to push him and gain a little bit extra speed, get him back up to the front. So I love to see this teamwork and these two working really well together. I think Garner has the speed to maybe go up there and battle for a win, but knowing that he's out of the playoffs, his teammates in, he is doing what he can to help, and it's pretty cool to see.
I've noticed that it as well, is that 42 is just been glued underneath the spoiler of Mullins pretty much the entire race. I mean, look at how close they're running, and you're right, he's not trying to pass. He's not showing the nose anywhere in terms of presenting the truck to even try to make the pass. He is purely in teammate mode, helping that 66 just try to go up there and catch our leaders. And it's a little bit of a frustrating situation for Mullins because he lost about 3 seconds in terms of track position just from staying out there on the racetrack. Remember, we were talking about how valuable those early laps are for getting the tires on. Well, this is the other end of it. The 66 fell back from about half a second now to 3.5 seconds back. He's just got to hope that the tires do fall off up front enough that they can kind of capitalize where they'll be faster later in the run.
With 34 laps to go, they would have to gain quite a bit. They would have to gain a tenth of a lap from here on out. So they're doing the best that they can. It's just going to be a struggle because I don't think Pat and Ryan are going to fight too hard. We'll see if they do get side by side now and start battling. It could change in a heartbeat, but I think these guys too smart to do that. But if you're Ryan here, when do you pull the trigger? If you feel like you're faster, it's only going to get harder to work off the bottom. If you go down to the inside, try to make it work. It means we get 30. We got to go 33 more laps in their own lap 25 here. Get down to the inside now and try to make the pass to be a lot easier than doing it with about 5 laps to go. So, you know, it's difficult. Ryan knows that he's going to fight him. They're going to lose some ground to Jamie behind him. But if he waits too long, he's just not going to have an opportunity to make that pass. So I wonder what's going on in Ryan's head at the moment as he's trying to figure out, what do I do here?
What's going on inside the head of the 53 truck? Remember, we haven't talked about Jonathan Cofield because he fell way down the order with that little bit of a mistake leaving pit lane. And I've been watching the performance. The 53 truck is the fastest truck on the racetrack, and not by a small margin. I mean, a couple of tenths kind of each lap. Now, that lap was pretty much identical to the leader, but he's dealing with a little bit of dirty air now that he's caught the number 36. So this is just one of the stories of what if for this 53, because remember,
battle for the lead,
right
Joey,
on the back of the 23 truck, who's now down to the inside battling for the lead here with Drabic.
He has finally decided to pull that trigger, and I'm excited. I wanted him to do it now because it's going to take 10 laps probably to pass this 07 because they're going to play nice. But he is down to the inside, finally decided to take that run. You see the top side just has the advantage, not quite able to do it, but he is there, and he's going to have 30 laps to try to work over that 07. So Patrick Drabic better pack a lunch. I hope he's got a ham sandwich, an apple, maybe an orange juice, a Capri Sun. He's going to need it all to hold off this 23 machine right here. He is scooting.
We're going to see what is the preferred line of the defense, and here at Nashville, it's just you have to arc the truck into the corners in order to carry that momentum. And here comes the run from Pendleton down the back straightaway. Side drafts Drabic, and he's going to be next to him by the time they enter turn number 3. Can Drabic carry that outside momentum? The 23 slides up just that little bit, but I think that this is exactly what Pendleton's been looking for. All the way down to the apron, try to shorten the racetrack up as much as he can. Does he drive it hard into turn number 1? No, actually pretty even. There's a little bit of that teammate battle you were mentioning.
He got a massive run down that back straightaway and just is not able to complete it on the bottom. I've seen him kind of, is he going to dive it down into 3 and 4? He's going to slide up a little bit, but this is where Patrick has been the strongest. right from middle to exit on that high line. And I've seen Ryan kind of try to sneak up there. Maybe if he can't complete the pass down here, sneak up to his outside and try to take that outside line away. But we talked about this. If they get side by side, what's going to happen? And right behind them, Jamie Mullins now 2.8 seconds back as they continue to battle side by side for the lead.
That's a great point, because the more that these trucks battle side by side for the lead, it's not only closing Mullins into it, but it's also allowing Jamie to continue to run his race, right? He's not burning up tires like the 23 and the 07 are. So I think if these two drivers are thinking about the big picture, they just kind of have to be aware of what they're doing, right? If you burn up the tires too much, the 66 has a tire advantage not only in terms of life, but also in laps. Just be careful, right? Don't go jumping through that ice, because you might find it really cold on the other side.
Yeah, the 23 needs to get up there and continue battling because that outside line is so detrimental to the tires. If he can force Patrick Dravitt to continue to fight on the outside, that will continue to erode his tires. Not really tire wear, it's more going to be tire heat. The heat is going to get into those right sides a lot more. So he's got to be aggressive here. I think at this point with 25 laps to go, you're not worried about Jamie Mullins. You're worried about that 07 and trying to get around him. So we'll see if he can get it done. He gets a nice run here. He's going to sneak up to the outside, Joey. I said that's what he was going to try to do. Here it goes.
I think that this is exactly where Pendleton needs to go, but Drabick, look at how deep he drives it into one. Can he capitalize on the over-under? Now Pendleton is going to have an even bigger run down the back straightaway. They're going to have to deal with the lap truck. Hopefully the 64 doesn't really go to the inside. Does Pendleton throw the slider? Looks like he will get clear, and now the 64 of Matt Knights is able to use those fresh tires, drive right on underneath, but that could have been the championship deciding move. Ryan Pendleton getting around Patrick Drabick, but here comes Drabick back into turn one, not taking this laying down.
Man, this is great racing. And honestly, Matt Knights, while he inserted himself in this battle, honestly didn't affect it at all. It was pretty impressive. And man, the 07 drives deep into the corner. I thought he was going to, Pendleton was going to go for the crossover, but actually kind of gets a little bit too tight. And Patrick Dravitt's going to take the lead back over here with 23 laps to go. Here comes Ryan again.
And so close to actually getting into that left rear quarter panel of Drabick. And you got to be careful of that here on the D-shaped oval, because you know, you try to widen the arc as much as you can, and sometimes those cars overlap a little bit, and they're going to go single file into turns 3 and 4 here. That's actually a little bit of a calm moment. We haven't had that here in the last couple laps, and I actually want to give a shout out to what's on the hood right here of the 23. That is Cruisin' Classics, located in Columbus, Ohio. Cruisin' Classics has a beautiful 56,000 square foot showroom filled with hundreds of unique automobiles. There is something for everybody out of their hand-picked selection of muscle cars and hot rods. Come on down and visit the facility today, or check out the website at cruisinclassicsinc.com. And I tell you what, the Cruisin' Classics livery is just filling the rear view, filling the side view, and now jumping to the outside again here in turn number 1. Let's see. Yep, Drabick just drives it in so deep.
Yeah, you know, I thought that that outside run on the front straightaway would be a little bit stronger, but man, Drabick has been able to drive so deep into the corner that it just hasn't been working out.
It's the driving, Eddie. I've been waiting for it to happen all night long, and none of these other competitors have taken advantage of really forcing a truck way up high on the entry, and that's what Drabick is doing. He's forcing the 23 way up where he can't drive.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, not being able to get down, it's a great defensive position on the outside, but to be on the offensive, driving in on the outside, you're absolutely right. It is a disadvantage to try to get to, you know, make sure you keep the spotter call and stay on that right rear quarter. So Ryan is doing everything he can. He's tried it a couple times. I think he's got to go back to that inside line. I think if he's listening to the broadcast, sorry, Ryan, I gave you bad advice because it's not working. The 07 is way too strong, and he's going to continue to work on it. Man, Mullins has kind of pulled into about a 2-second gap back to from Ryan Pendleton. So if they continue to battle, they continue those two behind, keep pushing forward. So I don't know. This is crazy. It's awesome. Love this. Wanted to see a great battle at the end, and they have been going at it for almost 40 laps at this point.
What does concern me, and only the driver is able to manage this, is how aggressive is Pendleton being on the tires? Because the last handful of laps, I've watched him throw the car down in low, throw the car up in high, and look at him wash way up high here in turn number 2. And that might just be Drabic falling off a little bit, but we still have 17 laps to go. And what if that 66 that's only 1.8 seconds back now actually catches this group? Is the 23 going to have enough tire to fight for the championship, or even fend off that 66 if they do in fact catch him? It's just the one thing that the driver has to manage is you got to make sure you have a fast enough car at the end of the race to win.
We talked about it at the beginning of the race, and it is so difficult to pass here, and this just highlights it. I mean, Pendleton has been here for almost 15 laps trying to figure out a way around this 07, and he's just not been able to do it. You've got to have so much time. So Ryan still has plenty of time, but it is clicking away. 15 laps is now gone. Half of the run that when he finally caught him, he's got another 15 laps to get it done. He hadn't been able to do it so far, so we'll see as we get down to the end. Has he burned the tires up, or has he got anything left? But man, he is going to have to do something and figure out something quick, as he was only in the lead for about half a lap.
And a story of what if out there on the racetrack. I mentioned him earlier. The 53 still kind of nowhere to be found. Currently running in 6th place. Just unfortunate from that half spin leaving pit road. I think took one of the fastest drivers. I think if you look at the stats, the fastest driver, the favorite driver coming into here, the final round. And really, with no yellow, this 53 is going to finish in 6th place. He might get up to 5th there, but unfortunately, when we're talking about the championship, that is not what Jonathan wants.
He is the fastest truck on the track, and he has cut the initial lead, by about 4 seconds or so. And in the last, 15 laps has really cut it down by 3. So he is a consistent 10th or so faster, but just doesn't have enough time. It's so frustrating to be in those. Yeah, exactly. Just that one little bit of extra throttle input on the exit on those cold tires is the difference between him being up there winning a championship and finishing in 6th place. It's a heartbreaker for sure. Man, just so disappointing, because I think he had something for those two guys up front right now.
Exactly. That's the reason why we're talking about the 53 is if we remember that replay, he was literally in the tire tracks of the 23 leaving pit lane, and the 23 has been battling for the lead the last, 20 laps out here. And if we're talking about how Cofield has been the fastest truck and he had the same track position as Ryan Pendleton out front, yeah, it really is just kind of a story of what if. I know that Jonathan Cofield will move on from this one. It's not going to hurt his ego by any means. It's just a little bit of a frustrating night for him, for sure. But what's not frustrating is how the race has unfolded for this driver right here, the 07 of Patrick Drabic. I mean, coming to 10 laps to go here, it is all in his hands.
He has started to widen that gap just a little bit. Last couple laps, Patrick has been able to, with that clean air, be a little bit more consistent. You wonder what Ryan is dealing with. Did he burn the tires up, or is he trying to let those things cool off so he can have another go at it? It's always hard to tell what the driver is actually dealing with, but it doesn't really matter. The more laps that the 07 stays out front, and he had to fight hard and did a great job of fighting for that track position, because had he kind of fallen in line behind the 23, he would have the same issue. So I think right now it's going to be difficult for Ryan to make this pass, but all it takes is one little mistake from the 07, and the 23 can scoot on by.
Want to give a big shout out to Redbeard Design Company. Redbeard Design Co. is a brand design and creative agency out of Greenfield, Indiana. They do brand identity, illustration, advertisements, apparel, packaging, and posters. All of GLR's logos since day one are the creation of Redbeard Design Company. So when you see GLR anywhere, you are seeing a Redbeard design. Well, coming around here down the back straightaway with 8 laps to go here. So as I say, the sand is running out of that hourglass. If Ryan Pendleton, one of the strongest drivers the back half of the season, has got anything for his teammate out front, it's time to pull it out of the bag and put it out onto the racetrack and really fight for this championship. And you see there in turns 1 and 2, we are potentially going to be catching a little bit of traffic. I don't think that it's necessarily going to affect the racing, but in terms of Patrick Drabick, that's going to be dirty air that he's going to potentially have to deal with.
And Ryan would love that, because Ryan is dealing with the dirty air right now, and it is eating him alive. Where he was really making some ground up on Patrick was running a little bit wider, putting that right rear on that banking a little bit higher and getting the run off the corner, but he can't do that right now, and you'll kind of see that highlighted here. Is he's going to swing out wide on the exit of this corner, and Drabick's going to exit off a little bit lower. You can see Ryan right here push out towards the exit. That was making him a lot of speed early, but now it's really hurting him as you see the run that Drabick's able to get off of 2. And Ryan's just not able to attack the corner like he was, and he's really struggling from middle exit.
Yeah, you see him just really push up wide there, almost smack the wall coming off of turn number 4 as we click down. 5 laps remaining here in the Goat Locker Racing Truck Series. So in just a matter of time, I've got my fingers crossed over here that we stay green flag out on the track, because this is the last thing we want to see is a yellow flag when the drivers have literally sweat all night long. This is the track position that they've been running in. This is the fastest of the trucks. This is how it's all played out. Don't want to see a yellow flag out there, but hey, it is racing. You never know what you're going to get, but continue to click them down. 4 laps remaining.
Oh, well, speak for yourself. I'd love to see a caution right now. I'm in the drama business, baby. I want to see some excitement, some drama. We got it right here, but any more drivers I can get into the picture, I'm happy for it. So if caution comes out, I'd be tickled pink to see what these guys decide to do as far as pit strategy. There's so many things that would change if that happens, but I think right now it's just between these 2 drivers, and Ryan has been pretty good in 3 and 4, has been able to close on the 07, but the 07 is kicking his butt in 1 and 2. And unfortunately for Ryan, 1 and 2 is the most important corner on this track, and if you don't nail it and you lose the speed right here, it is you carry it all the way around. So it's important to get 1 and 2 right. He kind of came off a little bit lower that time, so trying something a little bit different. Gonna have to dig down deep. They're coming to 2 to go.
2 laps to go from Barney here at the line, and I think the only hope that Pendleton has is that if he's cooled off his tires maybe the last 5-7 laps or so, and maybe that's why he hasn't been attacking, that's what he's got to hope on, because that's pretty much all that he's got to lean on right now as they round through turns 3 and 4. And we're going to be coming to the white flag here, folks. So done 114 laps so far. Click it over to 115. White flag. 1 lap remaining here in the Goat Locker Racing Truck Series presented by Jam Printing and Promotions. And what more fitting way than Patrick Drabick leading the field, going down the back straightaway in the Jam Printing and Promotions car. He's just got to keep it clean through 3 and 4, which he's done literally all night. The most dominant driver completes the race. Your champion.
He gets turned.
Oh, no.
He gets
They
turned.
get together coming down off of the start-finish line, and I actually think Patrick, he lost it there. Pendleton is your winner.
We changed the camera at probably the worst time. Whoever the cameraman is awful, as I could not believe it. We got to go back to a replay and see what happened. Unbelievable.
Oh, my. I think Drabick ran out of gas. I think that's what happened. Watch the 07. He's going to come out of turn 4 with 10 car lengths ahead of the 23. And all of a sudden, he just simply stops on the racetrack. The 23 is going to try to avoid, goes spinning through the apron, and crosses the start-finish line in the grass.
Oh my God. I was hoping for drama and I was looking for a yellow flag, but I wasn't looking for that. That's unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable. And I think you're right. Let's go on board with Patrick. He is. He's stuttering.
Oh my goodness. I thought that this was all Patrick Drabick's. There was nothing that was going to stop him. I'm going to stay quiet, listen to this thing run out of gas. And you know, he did everything that he could to try to keep the championship. I mean, heartbreaking for that team. Ryan Pendleton celebrates on the front straightaway. So what was lost for the 23 driver all comes to him out of turn number 4. Take the 07 out of victory lane, put the number 23 in. Ryan Pendleton is your Goat Locker Racing Truck Series winner.
My mouth is just wide open. I cannot believe what we saw. I'm changing to the Barney cam because I want to see the sexy shot of Patrick Drabick crossing the line, and he runs out of fuel on the last corner. I'm beside myself trying to figure out how does that happen. You know, the auto fuel comes to mind, and you wonder if it didn't just, you know, do him dirty. I'm not real sure. I'm just
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Because remember how far the 66 made it. The 66 made it multiple laps past halfway. And I know that Drabick was the first down pit road, but he was only 1 lap shy of halfway. So either the auto fuel did him dirty, or maybe he just burned so much fuel being out front, and Pendleton was able to save a little. But that doesn't really make sense with off of the data points that we've seen from the other cars. I mean, just absolute heartbreak out here, and I think we're gonna get the official results pulled up on the screen, because not only did the 07 not cross the line first, but he actually fell back quite a few. So Ryan Pendleton, I think, is in as much shock and awe as us, taking home the victory and the championship. I was talking about him pre-race. He's been performing amazing when it counts. Well, he got a little bit lucky today, and sometimes that's what you need in racing. Jamie Mullins stuck in it all the way to the end and is rewarded with a second-place finish. Jeremy Gardner pushing him there. He finishes 3rd, and then Drabick running out of fuel there, finishes in 4th. Ellingson in 5th. Jonathan Cofield winds up in 6th. Mike Browning 7th. Chuck Phelps, who we didn't mention him much tonight, comes home 8th. Timothy Stubblefield in 9th, and James Kaufman rounding out your top 10, albeit 1 lap down.
George Jewell comes home in 11th. They tried that 2-stop strategy, just did not work out. But I like that they tried it. That's a lot of fun to try something a little bit different. Brandon Wallace comes home in 12th. Matt Knight's in 13th. James Goshen in 14th. Alan Marshall in 15th. Steve McDonald going to round out your field in 16th.
Well, folks, please don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back, and I mean, talk about some emotion that we're going to see in some post-race interviews from celebration and heartbreak. So trust me, you are not going to want to miss it. We We just watched a complete burner here at the Nashville Super Speedway and talk about tipping it up on its head coming out of turn number 4. But I believe that we officially have our champion, our race winner. And is your jaw off of the floor yet, Ryan? Congratulations.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Obviously, that would not be if I could draw it up the way I want to win. Specifically, I'd be a lot. No offense to anyone else. If it wasn't my teammate up there that ran out of fuel, I'd be a lot more excited about winning that way. It is the championship. And obviously, I'm excited and proud, honored to win it here at Goat Locker. But I think at that moment that was definitely Pat's race, and it's unfortunate he ran out of fuel. But hey, you know what? A Goat Locker guy still brought it home. I was happy to get the Cruising Classics F-150 in victory lane, and I just wanted a shot at it this week, and then towards the end of the race, I just wanted to be there. And sometimes things happen in racing, and it happened tonight. So better to be lucky than good, I guess, is what they say.
Well, let's play a little story of what if, right? Because it kind of ended very wild and erratic. But we noticed you mounted the charge on Drabic with about 15 laps to go or so and really battled hard with them. And then I thought maybe you burned the tire off. Do you feel like if you waited a little bit longer, you might have had a better opportunity, or just you took what came to you?
Yeah, for sure. At that moment, I felt like I was quicker than Pat, and I think he was trying to save as much fuel as possible because he was quick all night. My truck felt good, and I really felt like that was kind of the window there of the tire wear, where if I could get around him and clear him longer than a lap or so, like we were going back and forth, it was going to become very hard to pass and dirty air. Having clean air would be good. And I knew his fuel situation. Obviously, we speak during the race. So I thought if I could just get around him, it would put me in a better position. Obviously, I wasn't banking on him running out of fuel. So that was my thought process. 6-1, half dozen other for sure. If I would have waited 5, 10 more laps, I might have had a better shot. Or, I don't know. It got so tough to pass there in dirty air at the end. I just, so I took my shot when I had it, just being the championship race. And it didn't work out in that scenario, but it ended up working out for me at the end.
So let's celebrate it and recap a little bit because it is over, right? You are champion out here, and you did all 15 rounds. What were some of those highlights or some of those memorable moments? Did you have a favorite race or some good battles that kind of come to recent memory? What's one of the big reasons you keep coming back here?
Oh, I just start out. The reason I keep coming back is the mission of Goat Locker Racing first and foremost. It's just awesome what they're doing. I know you guys have talked about it, and then close second is the guys. Originally when I met Pat and Jamie through iRacing, it was just kind of a breath of fresh air. It was what I was looking for with this service, and then obviously I got to meet the rest of my teammates with, Jake and Alex and Cody, and then meet the whole rest of the league that's grown. But the guys in the league are awesome. It's fun. The racing is what you guys see, but throughout the week we're on Discord, goofing around, sending funny gifts, and that's the whole point. We're trying to make a community for like-minded people, specifically veterans and first responders, but anyone like-minded, and it's just cool to have a community that's centered around motorsports.
My last two questions, because I'm a big animal guy. I got two golden retrievers. Who's the puppy sitting over there in the corner? And is there
Uh,
anybody that you want to thank?
that would be Rambo, and he is my 11-year-old best bud Australian Shepherd. So he's taking it easy. He'll celebrate with me when I get up. But absolutely, as far as people to thank, there's a long list. Tonight, I am going to start with my wife, who's not watching this or anything, but I've raced every last 14 or 15 Friday nights, so appreciate her putting up with me. My family that watches, but then going on to you guys at Podium Esports and doing this for us, and the broadcasts are so awesome for family and friends and supporters to watch. Cruising Classics, who's on this truck. Really happy to represent them. Cool. Obviously, Jam Printing and Promotions, just huge partner of Goat Locker for a long time. I've got to get to know them a little bit off the track, and they're just awesome people, just super helpful for what we're trying to get done. Premier Racing Setups. Truck was great tonight. Again, obviously, we went long green flag runs. Veterans for Life, just a huge partner there with Jamie. Can't thank them enough for what they've done all year for us up to this point. Right Now Roofing, huge new partner, excited about that. And then Redbeard Design, the shirts we're wearing, everything we got on, they make the designs and Jam prints them out, all this good stuff. So it's a huge partnership going on. Lincoln Tech coming on for this summer series and sponsoring some of our other initiatives is just huge. So the list goes on, and I'm not going to bore you because I know every other guy's going to talk about it, but there's a lot of support here at Goat Locker Racing. It's allowing us to do what we're trying to get done. So just huge appreciation to everyone that supports us.
Not just a terrific race tonight, but a terrific season. All 15 races. Your champion. Go celebrate, Ryan.
Will do. Appreciate it.
I believe, Eddie, you've caught up with our second place finisher, Jamie Mullins.
Yeah, Jamie, you came into the race. We talked to you a little bit about it before the race, and you said, I'm going to save, and I'm going to save, and save is what you did. You started that first run running 3/10 or 4/10 off of the pace, kind of backing up to about the 5th or 6th place, and then towards the end of that run started to catch right back up. So it seemed to be working in your favor. Talk a little bit about that first run. Do you feel like it worked out like you wanted it to?
I did. I mean, I got into the mindset of saving early, but I think my issue was I just let them get too far ahead. And even when it was time to go, I was just so far back I couldn't really do anything. But overall, congratulations to Ryan. Really, Ryan and Pat. Really, just this was their race, and I know they got together. I think Pat ran out of gas there at the end of it, but uh, overall, fun season. I never would have thought in a million years with all these fast guys in here that I would have finished as a bridesmaid in the Final Four. I mean, to me, that's a win. Like I said, just getting into the playoffs was a win, but I'm ecstatic. I really am. Disappointed because one spot sooner. If they'd have just got together a lap earlier, it'd have been over, right? But uh, I knew I was fading back, and my only hope at that time was them two getting together, racing hard with one another because I know they both want to win and be able to catch up with them. But it didn't happen that way.
Well, you had your teammate there pretty much the whole race, just kind of pushing you, giving you that extra little shove down the straightaways when you needed it there. That last run was you were kind of waiting, and when Pat and Ryan got side by side for a few laps, you guys did cut into the lead a little bit. So talk a little bit about working with your teammate there and what he was trying to do to help you get caught back up and try to race for a win.
Well, I'm not really very good at this track, so I mean, thanks to Jeremy, he never left my bumper. He was coaching me the whole way, telling me what I need to do, how I can improve. I learned a lot by listening to him. I know he could have passed me, way earlier than that, but he's a good teammate, stuck behind me the whole race. So I really, really want to thank him. I want to thank Chuck. Chuck was probably the biggest cheerleader I had out there on the track. When I was doubting myself, he kept telling me, you got this, you can still do it. So, great teammate as Chuck. Brandon, of course, wasn't here as my other teammate, but uh, Eddie, I'm ecstatic. I know I don't sound like I'm disappointed and ecstatic at the same time.
Yeah, well, I mean, a fantastic season to be able to get to the Final Four, race for a championship in the final race. That's really all you can ask for. Winning a championship is so freaking hard, but it's no small feat to make it into the Final Four, and you had to work for it. You weren't in it with one lap to go last
Yeah.
week, and all it took was just some wild racing there at the end. You were able to sneak in there and take that win, and so you had to fight, and you definitely deserved it. So congratulations, man, on a second place finish here tonight, second place in the championship, and the floor is yours, man. Who you got to thank?
Right now, I want to thank my teammates, my Veterans for Life teammates who never wavered on me at all. We helped each other. First year team. I mean, and to be up here competing with the GLR guys to me is amazing. So right now I want to give a kudos to those guys. Can't wait to see what we do next season. Right now, Roofing, the sponsor on my truck, they sponsored me and brought me on to here, and I hope I didn't disappoint them. Hopefully, I represented them well. Jam Printing and Promotions, the main sponsor for this league. Thank you guys so much for what y'all do. And Premier Racing Setups, I got to tell you, these setups are on point, and I really hope that we get them back again next season. Veterans for Life, again, I already said them, my teammates. They're Cruising Classics, Red Beard Design Company. Uh, and Podium, I want to thank Podium. These broadcasts are awesome. I can't wait to go back and watch them every race. So, whether I finish win one at Pocono or whether I wreck out in Darlington. I'm not really. I'll go back and watch them because I know it's a heck of a show. And I listened to you a little bit last. You told me at Pocono to turn my volume down on the headset because you were screaming, and you weren't lying, brother. But but I felt good. I really did. I want to thank y'all, and can't wait for next season.
All right. Well, there you have it. Second place tonight. Second place in the championship. Jamie Mullins comes home a bridesmaid. His words, not mine. And I think, Joey, I think you're caught up with third place finisher, Jeremy Gardner.
Yeah, Jeremy, a little bit of a same picture out your windshield all night long, helping push that 66 up there to a second place finish. But how was the night for you?
Oh, it wasn't bad, man. I'm just trying to get used to these trucks, man. I've been running a lot of next gen, so they're definitely different to drive. Just tried to manage all night, try to just give Jamie some pointers, man. I tried to be a good teammate tonight. I had nothing to lose. I had nothing to win, so I was trying to help him, just trying to give him some guidance through the night, just trying to get us through the field. Thought we had it there for a minute, but I think we burned it up a little bit.
I think that seems to be a general theme in helping your teammates, pushing them along. And personally, it was pretty surprising not to see you in the championship four here. So you did everything that you could to help push the 66. Do you feel that maybe you had some speed to go up there and battle for the win, or was it teammate duty 100% all night?
It's teammate duty. I didn't care if I won tonight, but it would have been nice. But I wanted to help Jamie out. He's deserving, man. That I've raced with him since last season, and he's progressed so much. I just wanted to just help him out all night. He definitely deserves it, man. He's an underdog. So win don't mean nothing to me. Like I said, I had nothing to lose tonight. Just trying to look out for my boys.
I asked Ryan Pendleton this same question a little bit earlier. Is since we're done with all 15 rounds now, is there maybe a moment in a specific race, a battle, or maybe just a one race in general that kind of is fond in your memory bank?
Well, if you ask that, yeah, Pocono. Pat, if you're watching, I still appreciate that race, buddy. That was the race that was make or break for me for this championship four, and that was a great race. I'm not even upset about it, but I do like giving him hell for it. That's really the only race I've been fond of, but it's been a great season, man. Everybody's progressed. Everybody's gotten a lot better, faster, less cautions. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better season. It's definitely better than last year. We had a lot more people show up for this race than last year's championship race.
It's a good close community when you can give the jabs in the ribs like that to everybody. But Jeremy, before I let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yep. Jamie and Pat at GLR, they're great guys. They're putting on a great community. They do nonstop stuff for the veterans, and it's more appreciated than they know. Jam Printing and Promotions, of course, Premier Racing Setups. They put out great setups each and every single week. Go check them out. My sponsor, Veterans for Life Foundation. Appreciate them guys. Cruising Classics, Right Now Roofing, Red Beard Design Company, and of course you guys for putting on a great broadcast every week. Appreciate y'all.
And was Jeremy Gardner, driver of the 42 truck, coming home in third place. And Eddie, I believe you've been able to track down Patrick Drabick in a little bit of frustration and a little bit of heartbreak back there. But let's talk to the driver of the '07.
Yeah, and we're not gonna be somber and sad. We're gonna
No.
be excited, man. What a great finish, and you provided all the excitement there at the end. You were making it boring the whole race, running out front, just leading every lap like that. Ugh, who wants to do that? I'd rather wreck across the finish line with my teammate and finish fourth. And man, you know what? Take a drink there out of your cup and kind of toast to the season that we had here. I mean, what a great truck series this season that saw, I mean, so many different winners. It was competitive all the way to the very end, and then you got to battle your teammate there. Talk about what it's like to lead every lap, work with your teammate early, and then there at the end have a 30+ lap battle with your teammate to try to get the championship.
That was a blast. I mean, me and Ryan racing door to door, back and forth, and he'd get to the inside of me, and I'd be able to hold the outside. He'd get another big run. Really, that whole last run, I was trying to save fuel, and So I kept kind of backing up to him, and then we'd race it out there for a little while, which is actually helping my fuel mileage. But in the end, I mean, she sputtered coming in, in the middle of 3 and 4, and that was all she wrote.
Well, tell me, we kind of theorized what happened. Was it the auto fuel that did you in? How did you run out of fuel there at the end? Because y'all ran pretty close to that, but maybe a little bit longer. How did that happen? What happened exactly?
Yeah, I don't use the auto fuel function whatsoever, and really, I'm not sure how I was getting worse fuel mileage than everybody else. Really, I mean, I pit a lap early, and when I came down pit road, it was sputtering, and I was like, "Oh, well, I'm glad I decided to pit this lap." And then that entire last run, I mean, the fuel just back and forth. I was okay. I was a half a lap short. I was a lap short. I was okay again. And then those last 10 laps, it was almost very similar to when I went to pit. I was about 3/10 of a lap short, and I'm like, well, I didn't start sputtering until I got about midway down pit lane, so I should be okay. And I knew I had Ryan covered. He'd used up his tires there, and I still had a lot left in the tank from saving, but wasn't enough, and that's all right. Congratulations to Ryan. I mean, he raced his guts out all night long, all season long, and yeah, I mean, I think you said it perfectly, Eddie. What a season, man. I mean, what a damn season.
Yeah. Well, I know it's tough. I mean, you've got plenty of Goat Locker championships under your belt. You can give one away to your teammate every once in a while. And to do it in such dramatic fashion, I mean, we were kind of blown away. We were watching you coming to the line. I had a camera set up right at the start finish line. All of a sudden, we look and y'all are spinning down into the grass, and it was just a wild finish.
Yeah.
You did throw the block there with that fuel kind of sputtering just a little bit. You kind of said, well, you got to run through me. And I think Ryan was willing to do that at that point as y'all made contact.
Man,
You were trying the last little bit to try to get maybe a shove across the start finish line.
when it started to sputter there a little bit, and I damn sure didn't mean to get into Ryan or how we tangled right there whatsoever. And I'm so thankful he was able to slide all the way through, the start finish line and get the win and get the championship. Um, but I figured my best bet was to cut it down low and try to use the momentum of the track. And at that time, he had that big run and he cut it low as well. And we just tangled, but luckily enough, it worked out for him. I was dead in the water anyway, but yeah, I mean, what a race, what a championship, and Ryan damn sure deserved this one.
Well, we're not done. I mean, we got some
Yeah.
celebrations to do. You've got Ryan to celebrate with. Y'all can celebrate that championship, multiple championships this week. But looking forward, man. Let's talk a little
Only
bit about.
three of them.
Yeah, that's all. 3 out of the 4. It's just terrible
Yeah,
percentage.
just stayed
if
home
if
with
you're
Goat
not if you're
Locker.
not winning 80% of the races, what are you really doing? So let's move forward. Let's talk a little bit ahead, and let's talk about what we got coming up with Goat Locker. I know you got some news you can't share just yet, and you got some that you can.
Yeah.
So let's talk it out right now. We've got a
Yeah.
break here in the Truck Series until the fall, and then what we got going on in the summer.
Yeah, well, we can break some news. Championship week is over. We've crowned our champions, and again, congratulations to Jake Ellingson in the Xfinity Series. I snuck one out, in the next gen series. Andy Kurtz, I mean, what a champion and what
Yeah.
a season for him in the ARCA series. I mean, 9 wins on the season, just dominant. And Ryan here tonight bringing home the championship. But no, a lot of big news here in Goat Locker. We are going to have a summer series. It's going to fire up here in 3 weeks. So on Tuesday nights, we're going to have an IndyCar series for the first time, and it's going to be brought to you and sponsored by Lincoln Tech. And I can talk a little bit more about Lincoln Tech here in a minute. And then on Wednesday nights, we're going to run an ARCA series, and we brought a new sponsor on board with that one. Not quite ready to announce that sponsor yet, but it's a pretty damn cool one. And then on Thursday nights, we're going to run a truck series, and that truck series is going to be brought to you by InVets. And InVets is a veteran nonprofit here in the state of Indiana, and their whole goal and mission is to be able to bring veterans to live and work here in Indiana. I have been working with them ever since I retired 7 years ago. They're a wonderful organization, helping a lot of veterans and families, and it's great to have them on board as well. But all of our sponsors, from this season are coming back next season. One of the biggest pieces of news, and I think a lot of people don't understand what we do outside of the racing leagues and what we do as a nonprofit. And I think, that's kind of important to talk to and talk about. A lot of big moves over the past month. Lincoln Tech has come on board, and if you don't know who Lincoln Tech is, they're probably the country's leading school when it comes to automotive technology. They have 23 campuses across the United States. They have come on board to not only sponsor that summer series, but they have sponsored our mobile simulator. So we now have the funds to be able to build that, to go to different shows, to go to racetracks, to go to veteran events, you name it. The Goat Locker Racing is going to be there with a simulator that the public can get in, sit in, race with, and all that kind of fun stuff. They're going to start doing some watch parties at some of their campuses as well. So I hope you guys up in the booth are a little nervous because your audience is getting ready to get really big, and I mean it's awesome. And then a month ago, we got in a very substantial grant from the state of Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs to be able to fund 10 sim rigs for veterans, and that is just amazing to me that we're going to be able to do that. They've also funded quite a few other things for us here in Goat Locker Racing. So um, the nonprofit and what we're doing here has grown so big and so huge. I cannot wait to see what we do in the future. I can't wait to talk more about what we're doing. I can't wait to get the mobile setup ready to rock and roll. I mean, Eddie, I could sit here and talk for 3 hours. I don't want to suck up everybody's time, but it's absolutely amazing. When I talk about it, it gives me goosebumps. Sometimes it almost brings me to tears because it's amazing the heart and the soul of everybody that shows up every week to race with us. All of our partners that come on board to help us out, to broadcast, to do all these different types of things, and we're out there making a really big difference one lap at a time.
Well said, and put a little cherry on top. And hey, who you got to thank? Any sponsor shout outs?
Uh, yeah, I got a few. No, this series, this league, what's happened the first part of this year has just been absolutely amazing. Each and every series had outstanding racing. I mean, just some of the best that we've ever seen. Our partners, um, you know. So I got Jam Printing and Promotions on the side of the truck. I brought them home a next gen championship on Wednesday. Fell a little short tonight, but hey, we put on a damn good show, and that was awesome. Cruising Classics out of Columbus, Ohio, have done amazing stuff with us, and they will continue to do some amazing things with us. So be on the lookout for that as well. And then another great thing that happened over there in Columbus, Ohio, was Nasty's Restaurant
Hmm.
and Bar that came on board. Had a wonderful call with the owner this week as well. They're going to do a lot more things with us, and I can't wait to be able to talk more about that and how they're going to have a goat locker night, every week in their restaurant, and that's awesome. The Veterans for Life Foundation, I mean, they came on board very, very early, and they've helped us out so tremendously. They continue to help us out tremendously in everything that we're doing. Redbeard Designs for all the logos and everything that they're doing. Premier Setups, putting these bad fast setups in these trucks every single week to provide this great racing that everybody gets to watch. Nazareth 360 that takes care of us, on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then you guys, Eddie, you and V Speed over there on Tuesdays that have knocked it out of the park, and these Friday night broadcasts. I can't tell you the number of sponsors that have tuned in and just been absolutely amazed by the show you guys put on. So I can't say thanks enough for that as well.
Well, an incredible season, a great way to top it off. Um, and looking forward to what's going on. And it's something that we've always talked about that, the racing is a big part of Goat Locker, was sort of the forefront moving forward. But now, I mean, it's important to realize that Goat Locker is just transcended just being a racing league, and that's sort of secondary. To what is going on at Goat Locker. I mean, so many big things, so cool even be in the earshot of what's going on, and looking forward to continuing the partnership and see what you guys do. You guys have done so much work. It's such a cool lane to be in. A lot of folks have kind of been in certain lanes when it comes to veterans and what they're what being done, but to be able to take what you love, sim racing, and and try to provide it to someone else. And we've talked, I said this 1,000 times, but one of my good buddies, Chuck Phelps, talks about how this is therapy for him. A Marine, and fought in wars, and he is, this is therapy for him. This is camaraderie. This is it's just a great outlet for him, and I think that is a great story and kind of a just to illustrate what Goat Locker is all about. And it's just such a cool thing. Looking forward to see what you guys do. I'm not going to keep you forever, but we appreciate you coming in, giving us a little bit of time. I know it's a tough way to end your season, but I think you're still a massive winner. Goat Locker is killing it right now. So congratulations on a great season, Patrick.
I appreciate it, brother. And yeah, man, Chuck's awesome. I don't think he gets enough attention whatsoever. You know, I really think, whether he wins or loses, I mean, you guys should just bring him up in the booth and interview him just because he's Chuck. That man is awesome.
The dude has the biggest biceps in sim racing.
Yeah,
for sure,
bar none. And he's just a teddy bear. Like, I don't want to run into that man in a dark alley, but sometimes I'd like to snuggle with him.
Well,
right, that's probably too far.
I think his wheel looks online for good force feedback and found it in Chuck. It's like the reverse. We're looking for always those higher direct drives, and I think his wheel was like, yeah, that's the right owner. It's going to give me the good feedback. So we all love Chuck here. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, Patrick, and we really appreciate it.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Well, Eddie, that leaves it to you and me. I mean, talk about an amazing season, 15 races, and it couldn't end in a more dramatic way, could it?
It really couldn't, and I don't think we could have drawn that up. We did not have fuel in our crosshairs at all, and what a great way to get a Goat Locker victory, kind of spread it amongst the teammates. Just a great season. This truck series, I've been around it for quite a few seasons. To see it kind of elevated here on Podium Esports with you, Joey, and Joe, and others, Bradley Cooper that has joined Scott Shive, that has been filled in a few times, that have made these broadcasts so great, and all the drivers who showed up and put on fantastic shows every week. I mean, it was just unbelievable the type of action we were seeing I can't think of a snoozer or a terrible race all season long, which is hard to ask for even in real life. So man, just incredible by these drivers. Goat Locker just puts on a fantastic show, and I'm just so impressed about how the season has gone.
And like we just heard from Patrick Drabick himself, this is not the end. Even though it's the end of the championship, there is so many more series that are going to be racing under that Goat Locker Racing banner there, and also a ton of more partners to be introduced to sim racing. And just to give everybody one more final shout out: Jam Printing and Promotions, Premier Racing Setups, Veterans for Life Foundation, Cruisin' Classics, Redbeard Design Company. I don't think any of it would be possible without any of those partners that Goat Locker has accrued. And it has been a season. It's been 15 races, and it's time for us to